Welcome to Live from My Drum Room and part two of my conversation with legendary drummer, composer, and producer Rick Marotta. Be sure to check out part one if you haven't seen it. The link is in the show notes, and it's available on all podcast platforms. In part two, we talk about the recent Warren Zevon tribute, which Rick performed at, his rekindled passion for the drums, his current projects, and much more. So come along for the ride for part two of Rick Marotta. Thanks for watching and listening, and be sure to visit livefrommydrumroom.com for all the latest news. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the other side. I do want to talk about for 1 second, just coming back to recent times, you did a Warren Zevon tribute recently for your dear, dear friend, the legendary, late, great Warren Zevon. And I know it was, I think we were together here, right? Just before you went back out to LA to do that.
Yes.
And I know that had to be an emotional time for you as well.
It really was. It was very special. I didn't want to miss it. They called me. I was really happy that they called me because Warren and I had such a really close relationship. And I didn't. I saw Jorge Calderon there, who I hadn't seen in a while, and Jorge and Warren had written together, and we had worked together, and uh, Calderon and I with Waddy Wachtel did that tribute for Jordan Zevon on the album that we did, where we did Poor Pitiful Me, and that was Jorge Calderon playing bass and Waddy playing guitar, and um, Jackson, I think, played piano and sang on Pitiful. And I said to Jorge, I said, listen, I when Warren got sick, I couldn't even talk to him. I would only get what was going on with the progression of the illness through Waddy Wachtel, through you. You would tell Waddy, Waddy would call me immediately. And when Waddy would call you about what's going on with Warren, Waddy would call me immediately. And that's how because I couldn't handle it. You know, I'm a total wimp. But we did the tribute here. Um, um, and it was really, really good. It was really good. I played, Lee Sklar and I played on a couple of songs. Bobby Glaub and I played on a couple of songs. Jennifer Condos and I played. We did Carmelita with Dwight Yoakam, and I think Jennifer played bass on that one for this show. And it was at the United Theater downtown Los Angeles, and it was three and a half hours, and there were like 5 drummers, and I got to play on about 5 or 6 songs, and really, really good. And were you going to say something else about that?
No, I just I just wanted to have you kind of just talk about that for a minute, because I remember you were, you understandably you were, it was an emotional time for you, and you had a little anxiety about just how heavy that was going to be to be there for it.
It was rough, but they made it easier. Jordan, his son, was there, and his daughter. I didn't see Crystal Zevon, but I saw a lot of guys from back then, and we just sort of reminisced, and it wasn't as sad, but I mean, anybody who isn't really familiar with Warren Zevon's stuff really should. When I had to do Bad Luck Streak, I had worked on Bad Luck Streak in dancing school. I co-produced it, which I found out I didn't even get credit on, but I did a lot of the arrangements and stuff on that record. And one of the songs that I had to do was Play It All Night Long, I think is the name of the song. The lyrics start out, Grandpa pissed his pants again. He don't give a damn. Brother Billy's got both guns drawn. He ain't been right since Vietnam. I mean,
Yeah.
If you listen to Warren Zevon lyrics alone,
Yeah. I know. No one that I can think
what a
of.
loss.
I
What a
mean,
what a
yeah,
songwriter. What a
I
what a
know.
what and it was really fun to do. We had a great time. It was packed. Um uh Milo and Leah and Christina and Hugo came. The
That's
whole
great.
place was filled. Yeah, we had a good
Yeah.
time. Um Chris Stills was there. He sang a couple of songs. Dwight Yoakam, Jackson, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jackson Brown. Um, really, really good. Really great night. Now, I want to just mention that this year, Warren Zevon got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And a few weeks ago, like the week before the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I had been thinking, why aren't Waddy and I? And I wanted Stanley Sheldon to come in because we did a tour with Warren, the Excitable Boy tour. And I gotta say, this was a great band. It was
Oh,
Ronan
yeah.
without
Yeah.
with without Dan Dugmore. Dan didn't do the tour with us, but David Landau did, and he did a great job. Um, I thought we should be playing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I went to visit my now favorite record producer right now is Tony Berg. I'm a huge fan of his. He's like, I've known him for so many years. I've never worked with him, and we'd see each other once in a while. I even said to him, one of the reasons I guess we weren't hanging out much is because didn't you work for the record company? Because he was worked for the record company. Now, the people that worked at the record company
Yeah.
were not generally for me, but we were like, okay,
Yeah.
they're almost the enemy. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to hang out. I don't want to be, I don't want to be hanging out smoking pot or anything with Clive Davis or any of those guys. So, but Tony Berg is not remotely that guy. He's so good. And I went to visit him. And he and his partner own Sound City in Los
Mm,
Angeles. And I was
yeah.
in Los Angeles. And I said, when I'm there, can I come by and see? And as soon as I texted him, he said, Brick, come by. Just come by. We'll hang out. And I went by the studio. And as I'm pulling in to the parking lot, there's a truck and there's a load in and it says The Killers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Band The Killers is
Yeah.
coming in. And I go in and I thought, well, The Killers are doing their record there. And the lead singer was doing his album, his solo record in Studio B. And in Studio A on the left side, they were setting up uh, this room, the whole road crew, they were setting everything up. And I go, what are you doing? And Tony said to me, no, they're doing something, sort of a Warren Zevon thing, I think it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Tony didn't even really know. And I went, wait, what? And then the next thing you know, I'm sitting there talking to Tony, and Waddy's guitar tech comes in. He sees me, he goes, Rick, how you doing? I go, what are you doing here? He goes, Waddy's going to be here. I go, wait a minute, Waddy's coming in? So the Killers are doing, you better sit down for this. The Killers are doing Lawyers, Guns, and Money, which is what I wanted to do. And then, so I said, after I had my meeting with Tony, we hung out for a couple of hours. I said, I think I'm going to come back later because Waddy was coming in at like 2. So I went home. I came back at around 2. And now the Killers, the band was there. You
Yeah.
know, I'd met the singer, but the guys in the band were not there. And when I came back in, Ronnie Vanucci, who's the drummer, really, really good guy, a really good drummer,
Yeah.
was there. And Waddy's there, and I see Waddy. I go, Waddy, what is going on? He goes, Rick, they called me. I said I was going to try to see if we could do this together. He goes, yeah, I said, but you're on the road. I knew you were on the road with Stevie, and I knew you couldn't do the last Zevon thing because Waddy was not at the Zevon concert that we did at the United Theater, and because he was on the road with Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I said, "Dude, you were out on the road. I heard you." He goes, yeah, I came in to do this. I had like a night off. I'm going to do this rehearsal today, do the show tomorrow, and then I'm back out with Stevie the next day. And I was kind of bummed. But then Ronnie, the nicest guy, he comes up to me and he goes, hey, Rick, how you doing? He goes, oh God, I'm playing your part on Lawyers, and the whole band is there, and they were really good.
Yeah.
And he goes, he plays it, and it's great. And he comes running up to me. He goes, "Hey, man, do you want to play it?" And what a nice,
yeah, what a great guy. Yeah.
really,
I would have,
really
I
nice
would have
guy.
never
And he
offered that to you.
and I said, "No, you would never do
I
that.
would
Plus,
never
I'm
have
not
done it.
lefty." And he plays righty, so I could actually may have been able to pull it off. But no, I said I thanked him and I said, "That's very kind of you, but no, this is your gig, and you should do it." But and then I watched the rehearsal. I was there for a while, and David Letterman showed up, and he was there for the rehearsal, and uh, they kind of played to him for a little bit, and then we all left. It was all done, and I watched them do it on the show, and they did a great job.
I'm
And
sure they did. Yeah.
but I'm never speaking to Waddy again.
Well, you were on my show last year and we
And
played.
Ronnie did a fantastic job. And then he sent
I'm
me
sure he did.
he was in his house in Northern California. He's a very, very nice guy. And he sent me a video that he did with his child right there in front of him. And he was playing in his living room. He was playing Lawyers, Guns, and Money on his kit, probably Traviata kit that he had set up in his living room in this little space. It was very nice of him. He was playing Lawyers. Really.
That's great. Well, we played that on Track Talk last year, but I'm going to play a little bit today because we're talking about Warren. We're talking about you playing on the original version of this song, Lawyers, Guns, and Money. It's one of my absolute favorite songs that you played on. And you and I were just, and besides all that, you and I were just talking the other day about this. And this song is a great example, and we can go back to She's a Burglar with the feel of this song where you put the beat. It's just ridiculous where you're so far behind. I could, when I used to hear this song on the radio and try to play it, I could never in a million years get it to feel the way, and I still couldn't, as great as I am today, and I am, get it to feel the way you make it feel. But seriously, I want to play this song. I want everybody's, I'm sure, heard this song a million times, but really listen to the backbeat. Listen to where Rick is putting the beat of this song. It's incredible. And also the parts that you play, the fills, everything. It's a textbook example of like a master class for drumming, I think. So, and this is 1978, I believe, Rick. Lawyers, Guns, and Money. Here we go.
I went home with the waitress, the way I always do. How was I to know she was with the Russians too? I was gambling in Havana. I took a little risk. Send lawyers, guns, and money. Dad, get me out of this. Ha! I'm the innocent bystander. Somehow I got stuck between the rock and the hard place, and I'm down on my luck. Yes, I'm down on my luck. Well, I'm down on my luck. I'm hiding in Honduras. I'm a desperate man.
Right here.
Send lawyers, guns, and money. The shit has hit the fan. guns, and money. Huh. Yeah. Send lawyers, guns, and money. Send lawyers, guns, and money. Hey! Send lawyers, guns, and money. Oh! Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Masterful, Rick. Really, man. I've told you that a million times. I know, but
Thank
wow.
you. I
Yeah, you,
appreciate that. You know, I feel, sometimes I feel a little bit like imposter syndrome because I, I play so little, you know? I I'm such a simple drummer, but I appreciate when people appreciate that. Um, but I really, that always has a special, just not only because it's Warren. I mean, Warren was
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very, very special to me. But uh, the the fact that that was when Waddy and I first started working together, Waddy Wachtel. And Waddy, I come from New York school, and I've said this before, the where it was me and Chuck Rainey or Anthony Jackson or Tony Levin, and we were always playing everything together. Boom,
Mhm.
I could sometimes just say, "Give me the bass part." If somebody wrote up, with
Right.
Bob Babbitt and stuff like Bob, those guys used to read note for note, and so just give me Babbitt's bass part or give me somebody to the bass part. And I would look, and if I saw where the hits were, Chuck's part, Chuck was more on his own, and Chuck and I could lock like this. But that's what it was. It was locking like this. With this is a real example. When I speak to people at these little clinics and things that you've done with me, and we talk about this song, I always bring up the importance of not playing with the bass player
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yep.
That's not the way we're taught. We're not taught that. Waddy Wachtel taught me that. He
Yeah.
said to me, I remember we were working on something with Linda Ronstadt, and he said, it was dotted. You play a dotted figure, play an upbeat, bass player plays another, boom, boom. You're going to play boom, boom. Waddy come over to me, just he and me, not
Yeah.
didn't stand up like he was the arranger, but Waddy's an arranger. He's a control guy. And he said, "Hey, have you ever thought about not playing everything?" No, I never thought about that. He goes, "Well, okay." And he's not a subtle guy, but but he goes, all right, but think about this. Like if you play, if Kenny Edwards, great,
Yeah.
plays the upbeat, and you play the downbeat, or if Kenny plays the downbeat and you play the upbeat, leave the downbeat. So that's what we did, right? So on Lawyers, Guns and Money, that's what I listen to that. Remember I told you, I said to you, okay, Johnny, when you want to really do that, I even said it to Ronnie Vanucci. He said to me, "You got any tips?" And I said, "I could tell you right now that when I did this song with Waddy, this is one of those songs, what Waddy produced it, that when the bass player played the upbeat and I would sometimes play the downbeat, or when I played the upbeat and he would play boom, boom, I would just play boom, play the upbeat and leave the downbeat for him and that. But then when the Killers did it, I realized that band was doing it as the Killers.
Yeah.
And I thought, and then I said to Ronnie, I said, "You just do what you're doing. Just pay attention to Waddy, just to keep the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
the slot." in the slot, which he did. And he, in fact, I think, honestly, I think Ronnie, after Waddy spoke to him, I think that Ronnie was the one that really held it all together. Ronnie Vanucci, I think he held the whole song together that night on stage. The whole band followed him, and he did an amazing good job. But that's what I get from that. Now, if I can just say something about, let's talk, because we can go on. You and I start talking and it goes on forever. So, but I want to mention a couple of things.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to mention that let's go away from the 50 years ago thing, and let's
Can I-
talk about
Can I ask you
now.
2 quick questions about that song that people have asked, and then we're going to move on from
Yeah,
it.
of course, of course.
Okay. First question was, and I think I know the answer, Jean Nadeau, click track or no click track? No click track.
I
guessing.
think we probably use the click.
You think you did? Okay. All right. All right. And
Yuri
and
click, I'm pretty sure. I think we did it at the Sound Factory, and I think they had a click, nice Yuri click track there. We used to, I think we did. I would say we did.
okay. All right.
But we were never averse to using, we weren't adverse to using click
Yeah.
at all.
Yep.
I never was.
Yep. Gotcha. And Doug McKenzie's asking how many toms on your setup in those days? Was it 3 up top, 2 floor
It would
toms?
be, if I was in the studio with my
Like the Ronstadt kit?
yeah, maybe it might have been that kit back there, or it might have been my black kit. It was my black kit. It would probably have been, it probably would have been an 8, 10. Oh, Harry would know. 8, 10, 12, 13 rack,
Okay.
and then a 16 floor, and maybe an 18 where I'd put a towel and some sticks and a drink and everything else. But
Yeah.
there were a lot of toms back then, and I didn't
Yeah.
always hit all of them. But I think on this, I could hear myself hitting the 10 and and
Yeah, you definitely hit a high one, which the choices are impeccable. Just with the sound of the drums, just in those, especially those fills at the end.
yeah, I liked playing. I didn't like yes, I liked having, if I had them up, I was going to hit them.
Yeah,
I didn't like hitting them just to hit them.
yeah,
I like to make sure that I like it. I hate to say this and get too precious about it, but I would try to orchestrate, especially at that time, because that's when I started to put up more drums, you know. Um, I tried to orchestrate when I would, so they would sound good.
yeah,
Which you know from the Ball Skag stuff and
yeah,
from the Baby Grand stuff and things like that, where I would sort of like tune the toms and play them that way.
yeah, yeah,
And you know, like this is the same era from the Boulevard with Jackson Brown. So it was probably that kit, you know, the same.
yeah.
Same.
Lots of tom toms. Yeah, absolutely.
And these
And
these were cut in Los Angeles, so in LA I was using my drums.
yeah, yep. All right. Well, thanks, Rick, on that. Yeah, let's move ahead. I had a note, and maybe this is what you want to talk about, is some recent things you're doing, especially this project you're doing with our friend Joe Testa's friend. Joe Testa is the vice president at Zildjian and Vic Firth. And yeah, so talk about that, Rick. This current project.
So let me just say a couple of things. So that
Yeah.
and I'm really sorry. I wish we would have started here and not going back into the dark ages and the ice age of music. But so now
We're
let's
here
go
now.
to, all of a sudden, and I'm a very late bloomer. I'm very slow with this stuff. I started listening to, and part of it was because of Jerry, my brother Jerry Marotta would send me stuff on Instagram or in Facebook and whatever that stuff is. And so I crawled, finally went down that rabbit hole, which is a rabbit hole. And so after having looked at certain things, I guess it figures your algorithm. So when I
Yeah.
pull it up, I can go bang and I look at, and I start, if I scroll, there'll be these amazing drum things, and everything is just like there are some young guys out there right now playing really, it's just it's one lesson after another, right? So
Yeah,
when I started doing this stuff, and then you and I went, so I went to I started practicing a bit to go down to Savannah because I was very nervous. I had to play like an hour and a half. I had to play a bunch of songs. So I had to start to relearn some of these songs I haven't played in years. And and um and I started practicing a bit. And then when we got back, you and I went to Zildjian together with Eric. Joe Testa set us up there in
that's right.
Boston,
Yep.
and we went together. And I was looking at some symbols and stuff, and I now don't go anywhere without my Vic Firth pads, which, you know, this is all you see. Every day you get online, and I see these exercises and things. So I've been doing this, watching football on Sunday, or TV at night, something. Oh, there we are. I'm playing these pads. So a couple of things I've noticed and I really appreciate. So I'm just going to say a couple of names. There are guys, these kids are really good, and it's just ungodly chops. There are these people playing stuff, and I really, really, really appreciate it. Now, what is that kit? Is that a Craviotto kit?
No, it's someone asked what it was. It's not a Yamaha kit, which is your drum company, but it's a Pearl drum set. But I
Oh,
photoshopped the logo off of it for
oh, that's interesting because someone I think had asked what it was. Well, that
yeah,
was when you go to Zildjian, they have the drums set up there. And we
right.
just it wasn't my kit. They just put we're testing cymbals, and we're playing
That's
a
right.
bunch of cymbals. Which, by the way, I walked away with a couple of hi-hats, and the one I'm using right now is the fat hats. Oh, they sound so good.
Beautiful. And I didn't mean to derail your train of thought. You were talking about kids on Instagram that you see playing
And their chops are just, it's what kids are learning now. People are, and I get it. I get it. This is what they're doing. Everybody, Steve Gadd comes out with his rudiments book, right? Big shot Steve Gadd with the rudiments and all that. So anyway, I'm digging. You know that. I was at your house and I
yeah,
was playing on your kid, and I was just practicing there. I'm doing that. And now, so then I come back from there, and Joe Testa, our good friend Joe, says, I have a friend I'm working with in Florida, and I've wanted to play more stuff. And for the past few years, and this is entirely my fault, I've been writing all this children's music, which you're very aware of,
yes,
for Mr.
yep,
Clown, this Mr. Clown project that we're working on all week. We're doing a bunch of stuff this week for Mr. Clown. But I've been writing all of that, and it's been very simple. And I'm playing all the stuff, and I'm playing all the drum parts. So now Joe Testa says to me, listen, this guy Bill LaFleur has got some stuff, and I thought maybe we could send you some tracks, which is what I'm starting to do now more of. People are
yeah,
sending me stuff to play on, and I'm much more into doing that now because I have the time to do it,
yep,
and I want to do it. So anyway, Bill and Joe sent me these tracks, and I listened. There was like 6 songs, and I went, well, I could. There's stuff in there that I thought maybe I'm not qualified, and I thought, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. And I started working on this stuff, and it's been great. And I
that's
keep
great.
telling them, I said to them, disclaimer. I said, look, I'll do this, but one thing I need from you guys is I am really okay with being fired because some of this stuff is out of my wheelhouse. So I don't, they said, just do what you want, do whatever you want. Then you'll pick a couple of songs, just do what you want. But Johnny, you know me. I'm like, okay, I picked one that I thought was in my wheelhouse. It was hard. It was
Yeah.
because Bill had cut everything to click and he had quantized everything. And I realized first time I played it back and I went, oh my God, I'm never playing drums again.
The
I'm so
tempos.
far
Yeah.
behind the rest
Yeah.
of the band. So then I took out the instruments. By the way, this guy is really good and the stuff is really good. So then I realized I put a click in to his track that he sent me, and everything is on the click. I took the track out and I listened to the click and me, and I'm on the click. So I just said, I'm going to trust it. I'm going to just, so after a couple of days on one song, I sent it to Bill. I go, I don't know. You tell me. He goes, great, great.
Yeah.
Next, want to try something else? So I went down and went through all of the songs, and the ones that were out of my wheelhouse, I just adjusted my thinking, and then we took the drums out that he had drums on that he had loops and things he had done already, which were very good. And I took those off and I'd write those. Those were the charts I showed you. I wrote these charts for myself just to map myself through it.
Yeah.
And with mostly hits, he's the guy that orchestrated. He wrote out a lot of the charts for us for Groove All Stars. So that's what he does. He sits in a room all night long and he writes out charts for
Okay.
bands, stuff like that. He's in Florida, so he's sending me stuff. But long story short, it really has been really good. The stuff is sounding really good.
I can't wait to hear it. Yeah.
And it's been very challenging, and it's the kind of challenge I really welcome. And so they haven't fired me yet. Like there was a couple of tracks where I said, "Okay, guys, I'm going to try something." Like there was this one track that went through, and it's a lot of this. By the way, this is some of this stuff is as fast as I can play. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not. It's not 50 years ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm done, and I have to take a break after like doing a take. So so I send it to them and I go, look, you know what? There was one track I must have worked on it for 2, 3 days, but I don't. The great thing about doing it like this, I love being in a room with a band. I love that, and we all love that. But when I'm in my own room, and I'm listening,
Yeah.
I'm going to go down. I got an idea. I'm mapping it out. And I'm mostly thinking about mapping. I'm thinking, what can I do? What can I bring? And I love that challenge. I really like that. What can I bring to this? Now, the caveat is you can't get married to yourself. It's very incestuous because you're like marrying to your parts. And so I just said, I want them to know it's okay to say, Rick, you shouldn't ever pick up a drumstick again. And so, but I've been knock wood. I've been fortunate. And like there was this one track, the one that I think I was the most uncomfortable approaching is the one Bill calls me. He goes, Rick,
It's great.
it's my favorite. No, it's not great. It's his favorite. It's like it's his favorite but I can get it. I kind of get it. I think I get it. And here's what it is. I think it's because I was having with our friend Mark Granfield, the singer
Yeah.
in Massachusetts and in New York. Mark is a great singer. And one day we were coming out of the gym and we sat down and we're talking about how and I've been on this kick and I've talked to you about it, how my favorite artists, it's like everything we've talked about, how I approach music. When you hand me a chart, I'm an actor. That's a script. I'm going to do a character. You like it, that's it. If not, the next guy comes in and okay. So we were talking about singers and how I was going, singers. I said to Mark, who's a great singer, and
Great
he's
singer.
also can do a lot of different things. He's doing a lot of jazz standards and stuff right now. And I said, my favorite singers, I realize, are not the ones that do all the vocal acrobatics and all that. They're guys that are characters. And he and I looked at each other, and the first words that came out of our mouth were, we both looked at each other and we both went, Bob Dylan. Now Bob Dylan's not a great singer, but and we're
Yeah.
both saying the same
Yeah.
thing. And then we went over a few others. I love that. Well, that's my taste. I think when I send this stuff to Bill and to Joe, because Joe signs off on it. Joe's producing with Bill. And Joe and I are close like you and I are close. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so close with Joe. There's pretty much nothing I wouldn't do for the guy. He was my partner with all the Groove All Stars things. He put up with me with so much stuff. He's been really supportive, and he's just a good friend. And so Joe knows he can say to me, did you wake up with two left arms today? He can do something like that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
he goes, man,
And he will.
Joe said to Bill, look, some of this stuff Rick's not going to do because it's just not in
Yeah.
this isn't what he does. But I love that challenge.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring it up is for all drummers, young and old, don't be afraid. As Spinoza used to say, don't be afraid of the mistakes. Strong and wrong is okay. Now, in this particular case, I just committed to this character. So in one thing that Bill sent me, it was drums, it's all the way through. It's in regular time. It's time. And
Yeah.
I just went, you know what? I'm going to play time. And in this section, I'm going to play halftime. And what happened was in his original, before he put the drums on it, he had played this section with solo, kind of a solo section, and it was very languid and open if you took the drums out. So I did that.
Yeah.
It was great. And I think that that's something that I bring to a clinic or a lesson is, I read I've also been listening a lot. I've been listening to drummers a lot more lately because I've been really kind of getting into the drums, into the doing some rudiments. And I have to say, Steve Gadd is my nemesis, but he's also responsible for me doing it. I was having a conversation with him a while ago, some months ago, and he wasn't pissed, but he was like, hey man, I hope you're playing. You should be playing.
Yeah.
Because he's playing all the time. And he said, I don't want to know that you're sitting around on your ass doing nothing. You better be playing. And it kind of woke, I said,
Yeah.
I better. So with that and reading, I realize because I'm gravitating towards all these things that these guys do that I don't do, that I can't do. And so I'm watching all of this is on social media, and I look at this interview, a short snippet of an interview with Jeff Porcaro, which they pop up. And
Yeah.
Jeff,
Yeah.
God, I miss that guy so much. And Jeff, in this interview, goes, and you know how he talks. He could be the most irreverent guy on the planet sometimes. He goes, I've never done a solo in my life. I don't do drum solos. I've never done a solo. It's not my thing. Who wants to hear me play a drum solo? And I'm sitting there going, I never do that. I used to have to do drum solos in Brethren and stuff like that, and I was never happy doing it. I mean, I would pull stuff out. Jerry used to read from Lady Chatterley's Lover and juggle in a solo. And I remember when I would do drum solos, I would take a cymbal and bend it and play it like a saw. Sometimes just to get away from playing a bunch of notes, I would do anything to do anything different. And I was reading, and I saw Jeff do that, and I read, I'm looking at I'm looking at all these young guys and these players that are really got a lot of chops, but then I'm looking at guys that have an enormous amount of chops, but have transcended that and are musical.
Yeah.
Steve was the first guy.
Yeah.
The first guy. He wrote the book on it. And that was when he and I started playing together a lot and being around each other a lot. I play almost nothing. He could play anything. And he was the guy that could play anything, but you could still see him play a backbeat and play a shuffle and stuff like that. Another guy, Vinny Colaiuta.
Yeah.
So when I see Vinny solo now, I see Vinny solo, instead of doing his half-hour solos that he used to do, he'll say more in 32 bars. He'll say more in 30 seconds of a solo, like Steve does on Asia. He'll say more than guys who got more chops than anybody can say, because
Yeah.
it's just
Yep.
repetitive and this and that and the other thing. And it's not always, I'm not criticizing it. I'm saying they haven't developed their musicality yet. Vinny, Keith Carlock,
Yeah. Yeah.
they,
Great examples.
those guys, Jeremy, those
Yep.
guys. When I saw Jeremy play with
King Crimson.
no. I saw him first met Jeremy with um,
Cheryl Crow, maybe, or
Sheryl Crow
yeah.
when we were doing the bridge concert for Neil Young in Northern California, and I was playing with Adam Sandler, and that's where I met Jeremy. And Jeremy was playing there, and I really didn't know his playing, and I could see this very, very, very musical guy, and I could see he also had. I saw other posts. I see him play in other things.
Yeah.
Musical drummers. Now that's what I'm trying to aspire to now that I want to be. I want to be a drummer. I want to be like you when I grow up and be a drummer. I want to be musical. I want to be
Yeah.
able to play some of
Yeah.
this stuff, but I don't want to play it just to play it. I can play it just to play it in my living room or in my studio. But if I'm on stage and I'm playing with people, I don't want to play that. I want to play it incorporated. And that's the thing that I think I'm really becoming appreciative of, and I'm excited about musically. I've gotten more excited about playing the drums and playing music. I'm not, and I'm really, you know what, Joe Testa and Bill LaFleur have kind of really helped me, as have you, but have helped me by sending me this stuff and pushing me to do it, have really helped me. And Steve
That's great.
biting me in the ass saying, you better be playing,
Yeah.
really helped me to be motivated to do it. And I love the motivation. And then Joe sent me this nice,
Look at that pad. Wow.
because he
Yeah.
knows that he said, you better practice because we're sending some.
That's Joe. I have two quick comments, and we're gonna wrap things up because we've been going a little bit here. But two quick comments. During the summer months, whenever I would talk to Steve, knowing that I was on the vineyard, he'd ask me, "How's Rick? Have you seen?" I said, "I had dinner with him last night. Is he playing?" He would always ask me, "Is he playing?" And this was when the Marotta brothers were working every week. You guys were playing all the time, and he was always curious, and he was so happy that you were playing, and and you and Jerry were playing together, and he's like, how's the band? Good band, right? I was like, great band, really great band, and so yeah, I mean, he's all, I mean, you joke about him, but he's your biggest cheerleader. And the second thing, Rick, the first thing that came to mind when you were talking about how you were listening to this tune that had all this, double time, fast tempo stuff, and you decided to take it to halftime or leave a spot out. That's your producer ears right there. That's what you bring that a lot of guys couldn't do, but you instinctively knew to do that, and that was the
Well,
right call. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm not special. You're right. It's from a lot of years of experience doing it,
Yeah.
and from producing and writing and arranging and doing things like that. Yes, it is that. But the other part I have to say, I've got to give Bill a lot of credit, is no resistance. It was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
so welcoming, so like, oh yeah, Rick. No, I say, Bill, I'm really sorry. I don't want, because you don't want offense. This is a guy, he's been working on his stuff for years in his
Sure.
mind, in his room by
Yeah.
himself. And Joe as well, Joe Testa knows. See, I know I'd met Bill once before. Joe Testa knows though. He knows me well enough to know that Joe will say, what what happened to you today? What's going on? Are you not feeling musical today? But he's been really like, the relationship I have with you and Joe and guys like that, Spinoza, it's guys where we talk to each other. Steve Jordan, we we all care about each other, but we're also not blowing smoke. It's
Yeah.
and I love those musical relationships, guys. Anybody who's a musician out there, seek those relationships out and always listen to guys like John Ferraro and Jeremy and the guys that are I listen to everybody that listens to me. I listen to them because their opinions, some opinions are not great, but some are. I learn a lesson every time. I saw this thing that Vinny had posted where you play a lot of notes, this, that, and the other thing, but a backbeat, somebody that plays in a slot. And I was shocked because, Vinny, for years, when I first met Vinny, was never about that. But the way Vinny plays, Vinny is the most evolved.
Yeah.
I'm worried. I know he's been going through some challenges, and I actually called him to check on him this summer, and he called me back, and we talked about it. And he's doing well. I think he's doing really well now. But he's got some. It's hard, and it's a very physical instrument.
Yeah.
It's an instrument where as we get older, you're sitting on your ass all day long, and you're bouncing around. Your back hurts, your arms hurt, your legs hurt, your feet hurt. Um, but look, I always want to talk about other people. So guys that are not the guys that are here that are listening to this, having lasted this long, I don't know how you do it because we get so long-winded. I told you before, we just talk and talk and talk, and it's my fault. But I want to mention a couple of things.
I was looking for an opportunity to show this picture. Steve Gadd made me think of it. Anyway, this was us at Rick's house on the vineyard last summer when his assistant got a new puppy.
Maverick.
Maverick, yeah.
He was here a minute ago.
I'll bet yeah. Anyway, we sent that to Steve. He loved it.
Oh yeah, Steve. He was more interested in talking about French bulldogs than he was about anything musical.
Exactly. But continue. Sorry.
I just want to always mention, aside from the guys that are on with us now, there's a couple of things I want to mention. I always want to talk about other drummers, and I just want to say this really quickly.
Yeah.
Bernard Purdie. He talks about himself enough, I know. But Bernard, I went back and I listened to the Royal Scam album. That's a lesson in playing a groove, a unique lesson in how to play the drums. I happen to be lucky enough to be on a track or two on that record.
Yeah.
But Bernard carries that out. And those songs, aside from being great Steely Dan songs, I mean, just pushing it out there. If you want a lesson on who wrote the book on playing certain kind of grooves, that's it.
Yeah.
Royal Scam album, Bernard Purdie. You could skip over me. And the other thing I always want to mention, because these are these are the guys that I cut my teeth and I learned how to play, was Jim Keltner. And Keltner's oh God, what have I been listening to lately that he did? That a married man's a fool on the Ry Cooder album is some of the best loose, slinky, funky knuckle playing. That song, that whole album, but that song, if you want to hear Keltner, what Keltner is really all about, in my opinion, he could say what he's about. He's got no problem talking about what he's about. And I love him dearly.
I know you do.
You listen to A Married Man's a Fool on Ry Cooder's record. And the great thing about Apple Music and Spotify and all that is you can just type that in and it'll pop up. It is the slinkiest, nastiest musical stuff you've ever going to hear.
Yeah.
And I just have to say one name, Andy Newmark.
Andy Newmark.
So
Yeah.
aside from the guys, John Ferraro and the guys that are listening, that we talked to, and Jeremy and all the Steve and all blah 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 blah, and Tom Breckline and all those guys who are my favorites. I just wanted to say that about them. We
Thank
wish
you,
we
Rick.
would talk about this. Maybe we would stop talking so much if we would talk about other people.
I'm sorry. It's my fault. I keep talking about these guys. I
Oh,
know.
I'm
I know.
long-winded. I can tell a story.
It's all
I'm too good of a raconteur.
Rick, thank you so much for your time today, my friend.
Thank you,
miss
and
you.
thanks everybody who lasted through this long, pedantic, verbose thing that we did. But I had fun.
I did too. We had a lot to talk about. Thank you all for watching and listening. Big hand for my buddy Rick Marotta. Thank you, Rick. Hang with me for 1 second. We'll end the stream and say goodbye in the room. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again real soon.